So as one of the things I learned, there were two moments in my inauguration as the first African-American elected statewide in Maryland. On the day I was sworn in, I'm standing there on the state step capitol, and Annapolis Harbor is literally right behind us down the hill. And as I'm standing there about to take the oath, it hit me like a ton of bricks that literally behind me, as I'm standing here taking the oath of office, Kunta Kinte was brought here as a slave to Annapolis Harbor. And in that moment, I realized the weight of history and the value of that history and the value of the legacy of constantly moving forward and reaching back and pushing forward, reaching back and connecting that. And the second moment was the next day when I arrived in the office of the Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. So on the second floor of the state capitol. And as I walk in, the state's archivist meets me. And I'm like, okay, this is different. And he wanted to tell me, he said, I really think it's important for you to appreciate this space. And I was like, yeah, okay. He said, you remember, okay, that Maryland was the fledgling country's capital for about 18 months as everybody was migrating towards Philadelphia to write everything out and make it all final and official. Well, during that period, the office of the Lieutenant Governor, where you're about to enter, was the office of Thomas Jefferson. And he presented me with a book of letters that Thomas Jefferson wrote at the time he was in that office in Maryland. And I was like, wow, I'm working out of Thomas Jefferson's office. And I remember as I sat behind the desk, and so those who know me can immediately know where I went. I was like, okay, so I get to redecorate this place. And I did. I decorated it in a period of Thomas Jefferson. I had the blues and the oh, it was great. But I would walk into that office and I sit behind that desk and I think to myself, wow, Kunta Kinte. Right. And here I am. Thomas Jefferson. And here I am. And I would say to myself, Thomas Jefferson must be thinking to himself, how the hell did a brother wind up in my office? And then it occurred to me, Sally Hemings knows how I got there. And that's the story. That's the story that we have to tell. The pieces that get left out of history. And so that's why we're here now, to share in that story, to bear witness to the legacy that Gail represents and so many others who've been a part of this family in many respects. As Americans across the country are celebrating Juneteenth, we're watching and witnessing the country come together in a way that is at times hopeful, but also problematic and difficult. And so this symposium chose this day, this particular moment, to sort of examine those complexities and to help us appreciate a little bit better what's at stake and why the past is as important as the present in order to inform the future. So we're going to go back to our founding fathers and reflect upon the decisions they made as slavery drove the economy, it drove the culture, and it conflicted the men who owned and operated that enterprise. It was interesting listening on the tour how Thomas Jefferson, as a young man, knew that this is not right, but as an older man realized, well, I'm going to have all this, right? And that's part of the struggle. We're also going to determine how we can utilize the aspirational ideals of Thomas Jefferson. And this series focused on not just Jefferson, but Madison and George Washington as well. We were at Madison's place a few months ago, on how we kind of move the country forward. So we're all times looking for the pursuit of justice and equality for everyone. And that's what the conversations are about. So